Welcome back to the channel, survivors. Today we're back in Ark Survival Ascended, and I want to talk briefly here about something that I made a mistake on in my previous video. If you did not check it out, I highly recommend go checking it out, but I just break down how you guys can get some secret bonus loot via the Winter Wonderland Event, aka via the fireplace. In that video, I talked about the fourth option, which was the dinos in the cryopods, and I mentioned how the level seems to be very low, and I haven't seen anything spawn from those cryopods beyond like level 65 or 70. I for sure haven't seen or heard of any player getting a max level 150 dino out of a cryopod, and I personally thought at a glance that this was kind of pointless or a waste. And hey, like, yeah, you're getting some extra dinos and you're getting some free cryopods, but at the end of the day, are they going to be a massive game changer? Well, no. However, it turns out that I was actually quite wrong, and I did miss one important attribute about these dinos. Well, if we go ahead and take a look at the dinos here inside of the cryopods, yes, they are obviously low level and for sure not going to be a max level 150. However, what is very interesting is about their stat allocation. If you guys did pay attention at all, obviously more than I paid attention the first time I discovered this, there's actually a certain specific allocation for the stat. So for example, here, if we take a look at this one, you can see on screen, we can see that this raptor has a lot of base stats, right? Like all of these stats are relatively its base value for it being its current level. And you can tell this by going to a site like Dodex, for instance, clicking on the stat calculator, typing in whatever level that dino is, and that would give you what the basic stats are, or the base stats should be for that dino at that specific level. Well, if we go ahead and take a look back at this screenshot here, you can see that the base stats were all pretty much the same except the oxygen. Now, obviously, oxygen is a wasted stat here on something like a raptor, and you would much rather prefer something like melee or, health. However, it's still very interesting because that means that these dinos that are coming out of these cryopods might have one specific stat pumped into with all of its levels that it currently is. In this case, I believe this one is 27. So it's had 27 points pumped in or allocated into more than anything oxygen, which is very interesting, but this can be very beneficial, especially for breeding. So breeding in Ark, typically players are looking for the four main important stats: HP, stamina, melee, and then weight. All right, now all four of these stats, you could get really lucky and actually get one of these cryopoded dinos to have a max roll for their level, whatever level they spawn at in that specific desired stat. And introducing something like that into your breeding line would make a huge difference and allow you guys to really target specific stats that you guys want according to what you're trying to achieve. Whether that means you're building up some dinos like bosses or thylas, for instance, for like boss fights, or maybe you're looking to make some super RGs that can carry a crazy amount of weight and melee damage. You name it, you could absolutely use these individual cryopoded dinos to your advantage if you happen to get lucky. Unfortunately, you can only get one per in-game day, so it is going to take you some time and some farming for mistletoes and coal in order for you guys to do it. And unfortunately, this is something that I did not realize when I recorded the first video, which I apologize for. I just totally saw the lower level on the dinos, and I 100% thought that this is kind of lackluster according to what all has to be done in order for you to get your meter maxed, especially on something like an official server. So because this actually does work and it actually does provide some sort of value, having a lot more points pumped into one specific stat, I can see this being very valuable to breeders specifically, because if you guys know anything about breeding, it's very meticulous and it does take a really long time to hone in on the right stats you're looking for, especially for something like raising boss dinos or dinos on official servers. And that's actually going to wrap up the video for today. Just a short and sweet one here for you guys today. Again, I just wanted to get this information out there because in my last video I talked about how they weren't really good and they're kind of lackluster. Well, actually, it's not the case. If you guys are breeders and you're looking for a specific stat, you can utilize these to your advantage until the event does officially end. With that being said though, guys, I invite you to drop a comment down below and let me know what the highest level is that you have received inside of these cryopods. I'm very curious to see what the highest level is that people are getting. For me personally, I believe it was like level 62, 65-ish, somewhere around in there, and I haven't heard of anybody else getting much of anything higher than that currently, but maybe you can. Maybe it is possible to get a max level 150 in one of these cryopods. If so, that would be absolutely broken. With that being said though, guys, as always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe here on the channel for everything Ark Survival Ascended related. Also, don't forget I do have a Discord. You can always find that link down below in the description. But with that being said, as always, guys, I'll see ya on the next one.